Most of us use Android Auto or at least Google Maps in the car. So an infotainment system based on Android, like Android Automotive, seems like a great idea, right? Almost. Good morning. You find me today at a charging station where I'm recharging a Renault Scenic E-Tech. It's an electric car like the Megane E-Tech. It's an interesting car. It's a good expansion of the Megane E-Tech, like the original Scenic was to the original Megane. So it's a nice car, and it also runs Android Automotive like many Renaults these days. Now, Android Automotive is an infotainment system, obviously based around Android, where you log in with your Gmail account and you have access to your data, like, wherever you plan your trips, etc., etc. There are also some apps which should be linked to your Google account. So in theory, it all sounds very good. Unfortunately, it's not always the case, and I'm going to tell you why and when. Okay, so first of all, at the moment, I am not synced with Android Auto for some reason. Maybe it's because the car is in standby mode rather than full-on mode, because I'm charging here. Why am I charging here rather than using my wall box at home? I'll tell you in a minute. So anyway, if I were connected to Android Auto, I would not have this phone icon here, only an Android Auto icon here, and if a phone rang, it would switch me to Android Auto from Android Automotive. Now, that doesn't sound like that big of a deal, but when you're driving and you have a planned route here within Android Automotive, then switching to Android Auto, which looks very similar, and losing your navigation is a bit annoying, especially that when you're using Android Auto, you don't have maps on the screen, on the driver's display. You have to use Android Automotive to have maps on the display. It's weird like this, but it's been like it for the past almost 3 years since the first time I encountered Android Automotive. That was in a Volvo XC40. You can watch the review. I link it in the video description and probably somewhere here on the screen. Anyway, not much has changed in Android Automotive in 3 years. It's still a bit clunky. So, for example, if I have my podcasts app, currently I'm using Pocket Casts since Google killed Google Podcasts, which was a brilliant app, but it still didn't work very well in Android Automotive. And now Pocket Casts doesn't show me my podcasts, even though it should, because I have my podcasts here. I'm linked with my Google account. Nothing is here. So I have to use Android Automotive to get there. By the way, sorry, I noticed I'm currently using the Polish language, so I'll just switch quickly into English so that you know what I'm doing. System, language, and let's go to English, which is weird because my Google account is in English, so it should theoretically work, but it is what it is. Anyway, yes, thank you. I know my battery is low, but it's good enough for this. Okay, so we're in English now. Okay, so let's look at the main screen, which is our map, and from here I can. Now it lost my last categories. Okay, from here I can choose a supermarket in another town, which is called Wrocław, And we can see there are some charging stops along the way. Now, these charging stops are chosen, I don't want to say arbitrarily, but okay, I don't have a choice of a network, for example. At the moment, I'm using the Greenway charging station, and with the Renault Press car comes a Greenway card, so I can use the Greenway network. I have accounts in Orlen, and I have my own Greenway account and several other accounts, but say I got a company card and I want to use just this one network. Okay, so you could say, okay, I'll just press on the card here and choose Greenway. It's not here. I think Ionity is the only network here I know. The other ones seem like they're Dutch and maybe French, maybe German. I don't know most of you. Okay, Shell Recharge, I also know that. But most of these I don't even know, and most of these are not available in Poland except maybe Shell Recharge and Ionity. So everything else is useless for me here. There is none of the Polish networks. Even Greenway, which apparently is very much in cooperation with foreign companies, while Orlen, being a Polish national company, is not very good at that. But there are several other Polish networks which could be here, and for some reason they aren't. What I can also filter, okay, so this is filter by payment. Okay, let's get rid of the trip. From here, I can filter by sort of charging, by charging speed, by charging power, and by plugs, which is okay. But I have no way of doing it on the go. Also, while I'm driving with SatNav on, I don't see, or even without SatNav, I don't see other chargers. So for example, I'm at the charger right now, and in order to find it, see, I'm zooming in like crazy, and it doesn't even show me the charger that I'm on. It doesn't know that it exists. It shows me a fuel station, but it doesn't show me the charger. I'll go somewhere else where I know there is a charger, like somewhere around here, I think. Yeah. Okay, here's a BP. There is no charger there, but there's an Orlen petrol station on which there is a charger. Do we see a charger here? No. We have to zoom in, and there's an LPG distributor, Autogas. We zoom in, and boom, there we go. There's the charging station. So, oh, and now it starts connecting to Android Auto. See, and this happens like in the middle of everything, just randomly. So now I have to go back to Android Automotive. So it's not a very good system for driving an electric car. When I drive a BMW, for example, I see all the charging stations within whatever radius, within whatever scale is on the map. So I would see a charging station here, a charging station there, a charging station there. And in Android Automotive, I don't see that for some reason, even though it should be there. The best I can do is go into points of interest, and then I start seeing charging stations. So if I'm driving and I say, okay, my range looks a bit low, I don't want to go all the way to that charging station that's set in the SatNav. Maybe I'll stop here for a toilet break, and maybe I'll use a charging station if there is one available. I can't just glance on the screen and see, oh, here's a charging station. I have to actually go into the points of interest, click on it, maybe filter out some of the charging stations, and then make a decision, which isn't brilliant when you're driving. It's just not as convenient as it could be. So that's the Android Automotive bit. Not very good, not as good as it could be. Now, while driving, I noticed that the range estimate for various goals is very conservative. So when I was driving from Warsaw to Wrocław, that's about 350, 360 kilometer trip. SatNav planned a charging stop along the way, which would force me to go off the main road and drive I don't know, 5 or 10 kilometers of the expressway to get to a charging point, spend half an hour there, get back, and drive to my destination, and at my destination have maybe, I don't know, 15-20% state of charge. I decided to cancel that stop and go all the way forward. And from about halfway, I saw my end state of charge, estimated state of charge upon arrival, increase from -1% to about 12-13% plus. So the range estimate here is, at least during the summer when it's whatever 25-30 degrees, is very conservative. I don't know what it's going to be like in the winter. So I was actually pleased with that. What I'm not pleased with is I have no way of setting the state of charge upon arrival. So if I know that at my destination or my intermediate destination, I will still be doing some driving and I know there is no charging station at my destination, I would like to set some sort of a state of charge upon arrival, which I can do, for example, in a BMW. So here I can't do that, and that's also quite annoying. That's why it was routing me through some random charging station, which I didn't really need, especially that my final destination was actually a charging station. I input a charging station as my destination, and it still rerouted me to another charger along the way, which I had to delete. So not the best solution. And it's not Renault's fault, it's Android Automotive. It is what it is. What is Renault's fault though, and this is interesting, now if you go into vehicle settings, there is nothing to do with EV here. So you go into another sub-menu which is called electric, and in this menu you see energy flow, which isn't happening right now. You can set your charging programs, so whatever time of day, night, and state of charge. There is battery, which sort of shows you, how much you're going to charge and whatever else, and the current state of charge. And there are some other settings, and in these settings the only thing is the pedestrian warning, so you can have a neutral, expressive, or a sound designed or composed by Jean-Michel Jarre, which is, I'm sure, very French, but there are no other settings. What other settings would I like to find here? And this brings me to why I'm at this Greenway charger here. There is no power intake setting. So in most electric cars or PHEVs, within the infotainment system, you can set how much energy the car is going to draw. So if you find yourself in a situation where the car can accept more power, like this one can accept 22 kilowatts AC, which is brilliant, by the way, and it's standard on this car, at least here in Poland. I think in all countries where you have three-phase charging, 22 kilowatts is standard. And theoretically, my home wall box can put out 22 kilowatts, the wall box, but not my actual house. My house can put out about 15 kilowatts. So when this car starts accepting 22, my circuit breaker goes and I have, well, just the wall box shuts off. So I realized what's happening because I saw 22 kilowatts on the display and said, I don't have that much at home. So right, let's thwart it somewhere. And the first thing you do is go into the vehicle settings and you set it to take whatever, 11 kilowatts, 7 kilowatts, 3 kilowatts, whatever. There is no such setting here. Unfortunately, and I know this is my problem, I chose this wall box. I chose this wall box because I said, okay, one day I'm gonna get 22 or more kilowatts at home. So, I'll have the same wall box which will be able to put out 22 kilowatts. And if there is a problem, I can always limit the charging power within the car. Well, I can't do that in this car. So that's why you find me here on Sunday morning at a relatively slow DC charger. It's putting out 50 kilowatts, this one. Now, I've tried charging on faster chargers. This car can take up to, I think, 130, 140 kilowatts in the peak. The peak is quite low, somewhere like between 15 and maybe 40% state of charge. So this is where it charges really quickly. But even on a 200 kilowatt charger, charging from 15% to 80% takes around 37-40 minutes. And Renault doesn't hide it. If you go into their online charging speed calculator, it'll show you this is what it does actually. So I'm sure it's great for the battery longevity, but not very good when you're actually doing a longer road trip. Now, how often you're going to do those longer road trips, that's another thing. At 120 kilometers per hour, cruise control set to 120, it's using about 22 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, which isn't brilliant. You know, and again, it's on par with what Renault calculator shows, so they're not hiding anything. It's just using a lot of energy. This is an 87 kilowatt hour battery. And an interesting thing, from 80 to 100, I know it's not recommended to do it with a fast charger, but let's assume you don't want to make this additional stop along the way and you just want to charge to full. You'd spend about 50 minutes to charge from 80 to 100%. So it really doesn't make sense to DC charge this car to 100%. Just unplug it, drive, and make another stop along the way if you need to. So it's a weird situation like this. Now, going back to this 22 kilowatts AC and why it's potentially a problem. Now, my home, my house, I can do whatever I want. I can get 22 kilowatts for the house, or I can get another wall box, not a problem. However, if you're charging in someone else's house, or if you're using some sort of dodgy campsite charger, you may cause a situation where you'll just trip the breakers, and you know, you're going to make problems for other people. So not being able to set your charging power here within the infotainment system is, I think, a bit of a miss on Renault's part, and I don't know why they did it or why they didn't do it, but it is what it is. Okay, so let me just walk you through other things here. Yeah, Google Maps, pretty much self-explanatory. Media, it'll see, no, okay, still nothing. I can go into my Android Auto, and then I have my media here, and you know, it works from here, but you know, that's Android Auto. Of course it's going to work. I can plan my route through here, but you will not be able to see any charging points here, any charging options along the route, because Android Auto doesn't know I'm driving an electric car. There are some settings which can make this more relevant for driving an EV, but it doesn't have all the data from the car about my current energy consumption, etc., etc. Here are my apps, which again, it just doesn't work here very well. And here are vehicle settings. Now, I'm currently in the personal mode, because personal mode means I don't have ESA. I have ESA switched off. You can configure which systems are going to be relevant in ESA. So that's in personal mode. So that's good. Then we have. Let me just turn the car on, maybe. Okay. Anything else we can configure here? Okay, then we have hands-free parking, which is absolutely useless. We have a 360 camera, which is useful. We have seat settings, and this annoys me greatly, because why not just make driving positions 1, 2, and 3 here? Apparently, you can set different seat settings through driver profiles. Now, I would love to know how many of you actually use driver profiles for yourself, your wife, whatever, and my charging just stopped for whatever reason. I'll have to fix that in a moment. Do you really change your driver profiles and with it your seat settings, or do you just keep it casual, so to speak? Electric settings I showed you. Air quality, really couldn't care less. Maybe if you live somewhere in Shanghai or whatever, China. Driving score, yeah, whatever. And then we have vehicle settings, which do just about everything except your charging speed and your kind of all account settings here, which are irrelevant to driving a car. Hold on a sec, let me see what's happening with charging and I'll be right back. Sorry about that, I was magically unplugged. Anyway, this is what Android Automotive looks like, and it's not Renault's fault. just to put it out there, it's not Renault's fault. It's not Renault's problem. It's the problem with Android Automotive as such. Jesus. And yeah, this just could have been so much better now that we have Google, because Google theoretically does certain things good. Apparently it doesn't do very well with cars. I wonder if and what the Apple system would be like. Well, maybe we'll find out one day. Now, this, as you may have noticed, is not a car review, it's an infotainment review. I will be doing those every once in a while when on my Polish channel I have some extra content which may not be relevant to my English-speaking viewers. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. More infotainment episodes coming soon-ish. Maybe once a month, maybe once every a couple of months. If there is any particular infotainment system you would like me to focus on, or any other aspect of cars, infotainment or maybe safety systems which you would like me to address, let me know in the comment section below. As you're watching this, I may already have a Renault Scenic E-Tech review on my channels, but it'll probably be a members only video. So if you want to support me, become a channel member. It's like whatever, 50 cents or €1 a month, and you get to watch many of my videos weeks or even months ahead everyone else, and there won't be any ads on them. So anyway, thanks again for watching, and yeah, I'll see you in the next episode, which will probably be a car review of some sort. I think it's a Mini Countryman. If you like my sarcastic, down-to-earth and possibly mildly amusing car reviews, join me every Friday at 3 p.m. Central European Time, and don't forget to subscribe and like this video, as it helps me with the YouTube algorithm. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.